Okay, on Mass Effect 2, we had a gameplay team that was formed like halfway through the development of Mass Effect 2. This team was responsible for developing the creatures, but the process that we used in Mass Effect 2 was pretty much the waterfall approach, where let's say the artist or like the writer would come up with an idea for a creature. Let's say you're going to have a creature called the Praetorium. So you have this creature which is formed by 30 deformed husks. It has like thin legs. It's going to almost like fly around and walk around the level. So the concept came from an artist or a writer. In most cases, they would make the concept. They would create the model of the creature. It would get animated, and then finally get to gameplay. And gameplay needed to make it fun. The problem is that if you do use that process, the waterfall process, when you get there at the gameplay part and you have to make it fun, sometimes you have to make a lot of changes to the creature because you cannot make it fun as it is. For example, if it has like 4 legs and the leg goes on a ledge, it's going to be like flying on the other 3 legs. So what are you going to do? You have to change the animation. You have to make the creature fly. You have to adapt the creature. And to make the change that late in the process is really costly because sometimes you have to go back all the way to the concept phase to make the changes. So that was how we did it on Mass Effect 2. On Mass Effect 3, we're using a completely different approach. We're making a prototype-based approach. So gameplay is actually the first phase. The concept phase starts with gameplay. They define what we call the box creatures. So we have those simple creatures made of 1 box for the body, 1 box for the head, and 2 for the arms, if they have 2 arms. And we start prototyping with those box creatures until we find the fun factor. After we find the fun factor, then we go back to the writers and the concept artists, and they start developing with us, and we made several iterations on what the creature is going to look like, which is actually much easier to do because you know what the creature is going to. It's going to be a huge creature and it's going to stomp on the ground. All right, so it's easier for the artist even to put the visual there. No, I think that actually we can put even more variety to the creatures because of this approach. Because what happens is that we can guarantee roughly the size of the creature, not exactly how it's going to look like. For example, we have creatures that are more like humanoids, right? Like with like 2 legs, 2 arms, and 1 head. But we have other creatures that are completely different. They're like beasts, like really like completely different type of a body. And we can create. I just specified the humanoid box creature to you, but you can create another one that is not a humanoid creature, but just using boxes. And also, not only that, but we defined the roles also that we want for the creatures. So we're defining 5 different roles on Mass Effect 3 for the creatures we're going to have. We're going to have the cover takers. So some creatures, when you start shooting them, they're going to take cover. Other creatures, they're going to slowly put pressure on you so that you have to get out of cover. Some other creatures are the snipers, so they're going to be suppressing you so that you stay in cover longer. Some other creatures, they're going to flank you, and they're going to try to take you out of cover. So there's this constant challenge in using different creatures. When you mix them, 1 + 1 = 3, not 2 anymore, because you have a much better combat in place for the user. Exactly. We do have the list. We actually call the Creative Bible, but it's very simple document. Actually, it's just an Excel document that you have. It's very simple. You have like the picture of the concept of the creature. If you have the final mesh already, we put the final mesh picture there, and you have like a list of descriptions. Like that's how tall it is. Those are the special abilities that this creature has. That's how fast the creature can walk. And we start really rough with some rough ideas, and we do the box creature. And when we like the behavior of the creature and it feels the role that we want, then we start defining more things. You kind of iterate. So that's a change in the process. We start with gameplay now, and then we have like what we call the phase 1. We used to call phase 1 before phase 1. We have the prototype phase. We create a prototype using gameplay designers with animation, with programmers, and also the concept artists as well, and character artists. So we do the first iteration, then we do another one and another one. So it's a cycle of iterations where the whole team is actually participating in the creature, which is actually good also because it brings more commitment also. Like they feel like, oh, everybody, I had a say in every creature since the beginning. If I didn't like something, I can say it. We can change, and it's fast. It's cheap to change because it's just a box, right? Yeah, I think we created on Mass Effect 3 we created what we call the factions, right? So first of all, we defined it like two main factions for the game. You're gonna have one lineup which is called the Cerberus faction, and the other one which are the Reapers. So you have those two factions. Actually, you have the third faction which is the Gav, but those are the two main factions. And we also planted the roles for each creature, like I told you before. We have the Cover Buster, we have the Slow Pressure, we're gonna have the Suppressor. We have 5 different roles, and we make sure that both factions have all those ingredients in terms of roles. So when the level designer is going to create a combat, it's going to create a level, he has much more pieces. So if he's using the Cerberus faction, he has 5 different roles. He can have the first combat only with two types of roles, and the second combat you have in the same level, it's going to have like 3 or 4. So you can mix them around, and it's going to be much more challenging and fun for the player in the end.
That sounds really good. I'm looking forward to seeing Mass Effect 3. And when is it due now, approximately?
No, we have a launch date already.
Oh, you do already? Okay.
Yes, we do. So Mass Effect 3 is going to be launched in North America on March 6, 2012, and in Europe it's going to be launched on March 9, 2012. On all 3 platforms, by the way. Okay. Xbox 360, PS3, and PC.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the final game and see how it integrates into the game itself, and seeing the final design, discovering it as we go along in the game.
Of course, I'm biased, but I'm having fun playing the game every day, so I think it's going to be a great game.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
It's a pleasure.